All right, so what's going on? What is it? It's Wednesday, July 29th. Man, July 29th, the year is just flying by, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So what's going on today in your world? What do you want to talk about?
July the 29th, and on the 30th tomorrow is my birthday.
Tomorrow's your birthday?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, happy birthday early.
Well, it's not a happy thing.
Well, but the alternative sucks.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
So welcome those birthdays. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Can we say how old you're going to be, or you don't like that?
I'm going to be 44.
44?
Yeah.
We don't look 44.
Thank you.
Good for you.
I don't feel 44.
Good for you. All right, what's going on? What do you want to talk about?
Well, we're going to talk about shrimp today.
I'm sorry?
Shrimp.
Oh, well.
I don't know why. I woke up this morning and wanted to talk about shrimp, so we're talking about shrimp today.
I am hoping that this is good news because I don't know what I'm going to do if you say shrimp are not good for us.
Well, I know. And
no, if you say shrimp are not good for us, you can leave now.
People are panicking right now thinking, don't do it, Doc. I love my shrimp. You know,
gonna run you out of town.
I know, it's true, but I get asked this all the time.
By the way, if you're driving near the radio station and you just happen to have some shrimp in your car, we'll take it.
Yeah. So I do get asked this all the time by people. Hey, are shrimp healthy? And so for those of you that are shrimpers in this area, sit back and relax. Today's show will make you very happy. But if
I did hear one time that it's a very fatty seafood.
Well, that's something we're going to talk about, and so I'm going to dispel that myth today.
Excellent.
Oh.
So, now if you're an importer of shrimp from overseas, you may want to change the channel because it's going to be ugly.
All
Okay,
right, let's go.
So, so the truth is
controversy on this
show.
show.
It is. So, the truth is when you ask if shrimp is healthy, well, it just depends. But American shrimp consumption has increased dramatically over the last 40 years or so. In fact, Americans now eat 3 times more shrimp than they did just 35 years ago.
Wonder why?
Well, back then, shrimp was almost like a delicacy you would get at a fine restaurant. Now they have shrimp at, fast food places. Chicken places have shrimp.
Yeah.
So to satisfy this appetite for shrimp, America has now become a major importer. In fact, one of the leading importers of shrimp. As much as and this is a shame, but as much as 94% of our shrimp supply comes from overseas. 94% of the shrimp that's eaten comes from...
That's borderline ridiculous.
It is.
It's completely ridiculous.
So it's definitely not a good idea for your health either. These imported shrimp are raised in large industrial tanks or shallow man-made ponds, and the shrimp are packed in there in very, very crowded conditions. They're fed commercialized pellets of waste products. Very strong antibiotics are added to the water. Now, many of these antibiotics are banned in the United States. So you can't use them in the U.S., but you can use them in Thailand in the shrimp and then import those shrimp to the United States,
Crazy.
which are loaded with those banned antibiotics.
That's nuts.
How
is that? How can that be?
Well,
how can it be? How can a product? How can a substance, a chemical, be banned here, and yet we import something with that chemical in them, and that's okay?
Yeah, and I was reading, I didn't write the statistic on my notes, but it's, I think 0.7% of the imported seafood is tested. 0.7%. Something like that. So it's not tracked very, very well. The other thing that happens in these industrial ponds is that the waste products build up on top of the water in these tightly packed shrimp, increasing the toxic buildup in the meat, and then they have to add chemicals to the water to keep down the algae and the waterborne pests. So it is a toxic soup that these shrimp grow up in. So, by the way, speaking of antibiotics, I read a statistic the other day. Do you realize that 80% of the antibiotics used in the United States are used in farming and agriculture? 80% are given to animals. Only 20% of the antibiotics produced are given to humans.
Unreal.
So that lets you know how much of these drug residues are in our food supply. So when we talk about eating organic food, now you know, and hormone-free chicken and antibiotic-free chicken, you understand why.
How about when it comes to a shrimp, and I'm sure you're going to answer this question, but I'm just going to jump the gun, I guess. When it comes to looking at a shrimp in the grocery store, how in the hell can I tell if it's local or not?
Well, sometimes deceptive practices are used in that, which is something that you have to be very, very careful of. you want to make sure that it's a reputable company, that it says Gulf Shrimp. And, Gulf shrimp are usually larger. I mean, you can usually tell by looking at a Gulf shrimp. They're a little bit bigger. They're a little healthier looking. They're a little more local looking. Usually the little small frozen shrimp usually are foreign shrimp. It's a little bit hard for them to ship fresh shrimp that far fast enough to make it, make it feasible.
And we're so lucky here because it's a lot easier for us to get fresh shrimp.
Right.
In South Louisiana than it is for people elsewhere in the country.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
No, what is sad is when somebody's from South Louisiana and they buy foreign shrimp.
Yeah.
Agreed. Buy Gulf shrimp. But because these foreign shrimp are something that you should definitely avoid. And honestly, that goes for all fish and seafood. Fish and seafood raised from places like Vietnam, if it says product of Vietnam, Thailand, China, India, and Indonesia, this includes tilapia, catfish, and other fish and seafood raised in these countries. They're all very, very toxic, and you want to avoid those. If you're going to
Are they cheaper in the stores, Doc?
Absolutely. So if you're going to get fish, you want to get wild-caught fish from up north, Alaskan halibut, Alaskan wild-caught salmon, because it's less toxic the higher you get up into the country. And so if you're going to get fish, either get that or get something caught in the Gulf. And then the more of an apex predator the fish is, the higher the toxic level will be. In other words, your swordfish, your tunas, your mackerels, those fish are kind of the apex predator of that area, the sharks. So they're going to have more toxic buildup because the shrimp has a certain amount of toxin. The small fish eats that. Then the bigger fish eats that one. Then the bigger fish eats that one. So these toxins move up the food chain and multiply as the fish get bigger.
That.
So the truth is, and this is according to some of the latest studies done by the National Oceanic Institute, that locally caught Louisiana Gulf shrimp are the cleanest, healthiest shrimp in the world. So I'm happy to say that. Yeah.
Wow.
So very, very important. So when we get back, I'm going to tell you the health benefits of Gulf shrimp. And I think that you're going to be surprised about some of the things people think. Oh, they're high in cholesterol. Oh, I heard they were high in fat. So we're going to dispel all that. We're going to talk about the health benefits of them when we return.
Now